I think I'm gonna partner with Campbell and Tristan on one we just locked up in North Shore actually. So.
Oh, what'd you lock up?
It's just a single family.
Okay, so it looks good enough to hold on to.
Yeah, well, we're gonna flip it probably. So.
Okay,
yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Well, cool.
Sure.
Well, welcome everybody to Coffee Talk on this Friday. Corey is at the airport, so he's kind of on and kind of going through security. So hopefully he gets body checked and strip searched so we can all watch him go through that experience. It'd be kind of funny. But glad everybody's on. Got a cool special guest today as well. But before we get there, anybody got any needs? Roderick just was asking about direct mail sources and companies to use. Anybody else got anything that you're kind of looking for, trying to find, thinking about?
Do you guys looking for a possible commercial lender down in Georgia?
Greg's looking for a possible commercial lender down in Georgia. What kind of building are you trying to get?
It's a portfolio, 67 units.
Portfolio 67 units. Perfect. Anybody been using a good commercial lender for a portfolio? Drop it into the chat if you could. And then Aiden Wong might be able to give you some connections. Aiden, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Hey,
Definitely.
Aiden, what's up?
I'll drop my contact and I can try to see if I can help you out there, Greg.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
That's awesome. Kala, you got a wholesale deal. What? Tell us about the deal.
Yeah, the deal is in Upper Pololo. The ARV is a conservative $800,000.
Nice.
The wholesale price is $375,000. The rehab I estimated at $300,000 because it's either going to be a tear down or close to a tear down where you'd only leave up maybe one section of the wall so that the permitting can be faster. Yeah. So you'd probably be all in for $675,000. The profit after the holding price, and then the holding price, it all depends on what type of lending you have, right? So if you're going the traditional hard money plus with a gap,
yeah,
the profit comes down. So right now I got the profit because I would use a hard money loan and gap it. The profit is at $86,000, like a conservative. So the ROI is only about 10%.
What kind
anybody's
of,
interested.
So you're direct to seller, Kala? Oh, nice. Okay.
Yes.
And then how many square feet of land?
The square feet is 5,000.
Okay, so decent size. Is the land
decent size?
Flat or hillside?
The land is flat only because there's a retaining wall.
And the retaining wall's in good shape?
Yeah, it's a small hill.
Oh, good.
Yeah, the walls are in good shape.
Oh,
so
good.
One of the walls were built by the city and county, so it's an oversized wall which was built in 1957.
Gotcha. And get one view or no views? Pololo usually doesn't get much of a view.
Yeah, it's in the valley, so they have a beautiful view of the valley, but not
okay.
the
How
ocean.
many square feet is the current house?
The current house is 1,200.
Oh, small one. 3 bedroom, 1 bath.
Yeah.
Plantation style.
It's a post and pier.
Post and pier. Okay. So if you tore that down, Pololo Valley in the back, and you were to keep one wall and then build a 4 bedroom, 2.5, 2,000 square footer, is ARV 1.2, 1.3?
The ARV for lower, yes, but the ARV that so there's one that's selling for $1 million right now, right above this property. And there's another one that's selling for, well, I want to say it's $825,000 above this property. So we just went low to say a conservative ARV would be 800,000. But it might come
especially if you tear it down, because Pololo is such a good location that if you tear it down and build, and if you could do an attached dwelling unit on there as well, then you'd be pretty solid, you know.
So that's what we were shooting for, but I was talking to some people, they said, just to get that extra, either extra room or like an ADA, they said would just take super long. But I was like, that's their context. Maybe other people can do it faster,
Yeah,
where the whole time would be not 18 months to 2 years.
gotcha. That's pretty good. So 375 for the acquisition.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Can you put your email and your phone number in there?
10-4.
And if nobody picks it up and you need some help thinking it through, reach out to us because we've done a couple deals in that area. And
Okay.
we love, yeah, Palolo is awesome.
Or we were gonna use you. for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, not just, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use our lending company for sure. But even to think through what to do with it, because I think if you can get the numbers you got some good numbers there.
Mhm.
So, but I think you got to do something to the house. It's not enough to just keep redoing what you have. You got to either add on to the current house to get it a little bit bigger.
Right.
Because then you're going to jump your ARV if you can add one more bathroom and one more bedroom.
So that was the plan, to at least make it a 4-4-2,
That would be huge.
you know, and then you could probably go, like maybe 9 to million or even higher than that.
Yeah, it's Palolo, man. People love it back.
Yeah.
It's
So I was just going for the conservative low, being how the market is. I wasn't trying to rack it up,
Yeah.
but if it went to like a decent number in the bidding, I was gonna just allow that room.
Yeah. I don't know. Daniel will probably take it. So drop your email and your phone number in there, and then we'll be in touch.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you guys.
Okay, Keone is always looking for a deal in Palolo.
All right.
Hey, Keone, how's it, bro? Right on. Anybody else got any? Oh, wait, let's see. So Timothy's got a potential buyer. Email the information. Okay, cool. Sounds good. Anybody else got a lead or a need or anything kind of happening there?
One of my agents on the line, she's being shy. She needs a savvy lender in South Carolina.
Oh, shy agent. Come on.
No, so cute. She doesn't want to show her face.
So she needs a private lender or a conventional lender?
Well,
or
obviously, if it was, anything, I would go to you guys. So she just needs, it's for a buy and hold, but it's going to be a non-primary. So she's just looking for a savvy broker, someone in South Carolina.
Gotcha. So South Carolina, if anybody's got any connections to a local lender who knows the market well, actually drop your thing in there. Are you going to go to the EXP conference, by the way, in Vegas?
I don't know if I'll have someone to watch my daughter, but my whole team's going without me if I can't.
Oh, that's nice. Bring your daughter.
I was thinking about it, but I saw a lot of kids in Vegas and I was kind of horrified. And I don't know, like, what if I want to get drunk or something?
Oh, gotcha.
I don't feel bad.
Exactly. If you want to party, that makes it hard to have a kid here.
Well, honestly, it's her school. Because she's in public school, if she misses a day, they have you jump through all of these hoops to go back. And because of COVID, so even if you miss it for some off reason, they will make you do all of these verifications. You don't have COVID to go back.
Yeah.
So I was like, is it going to be worth? Are you going?
I don't know yet. They are tricking us because you have to get stock awards. You have to be there.
No.
And so I found out that you can go remotely and still get your stock awards. So I'm like, yeah, I think I
That
might
just
do
takes
that.
the fun out of it.
It kind of does, but it'll be cool. Maybe we'll catch you here then.
I'll let you know if I go. Meet up with you.
Absolutely. Anybody else got any needs? Anybody else shy that somebody else needs to speak up for them? Ashley, you got any other friends on the call that need something that you'd like to speak for them
Send me a
on?
PM if you need.
Yeah, exactly.
Jasmine, we love you.
That's awesome. Well, all right. If anybody has anything else, that would be cool. Just feel free to jump on there. Anybody got any cool stories this last week of something that's gone well for you in any of your flips or anything that you just kind of want to share? It's always kind of fun to celebrate.
I got something.
Hey, what's up, Kalani?
I had a lead on the Big Island in Puna. And when I called them up, actually Joe helped me out with this one. And when I called them up to find out that he's in a hospital with COVID, and then, I just wanna give a praise report. He's out now and he's doing well.
Nice.
But now the lead is pretty much turning it. I don't know about a deal, but we gotta figure that one out.
That's awesome.
But I'm so stoked that he made it out. So
Yeah. That's awesome.
kind of positive for him too, because now he says he sees life in a different perspective.
Yeah, it's amazing
So
what happens after
yeah.
you. I have a buddy here in Vegas that we just had dinner with the other night to celebrate. He was in the hospital for 31 days in a coma with COVID.
Oh,
Yeah, bro. Like he just remembered feeling not very good. So he drove himself to ER. And then 31 days later, he wakes up and he's like, where am I? What day is it? Like, what's going on? And they're like, a whole month has gone by that you were not awake for. I mean, like, that's so freaky, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Like he didn't even have a chance to call his family. Like it was,
Wow.
it was just one of those things, right? So yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, you get through something like that, you see life in a whole different opportunity, different lens, and you just seize every opportunity you get. Yeah.
Right.
It's awesome. Well, right on, Kalani. Thank you for sharing that.
Hey,
Richie, what you got?
I got a cool little story, not so much related to real estate, but I did some banking this week, and then before I left, I asked for my account balance, and then the teller printed me the receipt with the account balance, and I didn't really take a look at it until I got home, and apparently I'm like a million shy of $1 billion. Kind of funny. The account was showing like 99 million and some change and $1 million something unavailable, and I was like, oh, I called the banker. I was like, hey, this is not my account, yeah? And they said no, so they turned my day upside down after
Dude,
that.
did you imagine?
Finders
Yeah, that was-
keepers.
I know, right?
Yeah, that was super.
That's like in the
Yeah.
movies when that stuff happens, and you're just like, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I figured I'd share it since I probably wasn't gonna post that. I might make some new friends. if I
Right?
did.
So that
Well, the good
happened
news-
to me when I was in high school, but obviously not shy of $1 billion, but like it seemed like that for me. And I didn't know any better. And I took the money out and I was like, I gotta take this while I can. And yeah, that's fraud. You're not allowed to do that. The bank called me, like, you gotta bring that money back right now. Oh my God, damn. I thought once it's in my account, finders keepers.
Of course, now you got to figure out, Richie, you got to figure out whose account that was, because they obviously got money to private lend to your investments,
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, man, there's actually somebody here sitting with that kind
Right.
of money in their account.
in their
Pretty
checking
cool.
account of all things, right?
It was a freaking checking account.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with the unavailable funds, that was like $1 million, like 1.1. It was just over $1
That's
billion total.
amazing. I honestly, I've not had one of those kind of receipts in my bank account, so I didn't realize
Yeah,
that
I kept
the
it.
bank receipt goes to that many zeros.
Yeah. So I shared it with Keone. I showed him a picture of the receipt, and he told me to frame it, and that's part of our dream board.
Yeah, put it on your vision board. That's hilarious. That was God giving you a peek at the future of your lives. You're going to be
Yeah.
such ballers that $1 million sitting in your checking account's no big deal. That's awesome. Anybody?
I know. And then we had a hard time even trying to say it, because it was just short of $1 billion. It was like, how do you say this?
That's amazing. All right on, bro. That's a good story. I love it. I love it. Good stuff. Anybody got anything else? Any cool stories or leads or needs? Otherwise, we'll jump into our special guest in a minute.
I got one more need. Is anybody doing anything virtual in Arizona? And if you are, I'd love to hook up with you guys.
And what does that mean, virtual in Arizona?
So you're just doing deals from Hawaii, but in Arizona.
Oh, remote investing, like flipping, and
Yeah.
wholesaling, or buying holds.
Everything,
Gotcha. Okay, so
whether it's wholesale, hold, even burrs, all of it.
So if anybody knows of anybody who's active in Arizona, try reach out to Kala. Should be cool. Right on. Anybody else got anything else that they're looking at, needing? Anybody else need a nap on a Friday afternoon? Nobody needs a nap. It's just me. I've got monsters. We're good. We're right on. Awesome. So let's jump in. I'll give us some extra time today. I'm super excited. Our special guest today is a dear friend of mine, and it's exciting that she's going to be on because she's got a really cool story to tell. And it's really inspiring to me just to hear kind of her journey, because there's not a lot of people that are general contractors that are women. And that's really, really a cool thing. And Kate has been a contractor for, gosh, like 15, is it 15, Kate? 20 years?
15 years. I don't like saying that because it seems like it's a really long time and it makes me feel old.
Started when you were 10, so it's all good. You know?
Exactly.
It's totally cool. So yeah, so Kate's gonna share a little bit of her story. She's got some great lessons in entrepreneurship, on fix and flips, buy and holds. She's been on television. So she's kind of had a really amazing journey in her career. And then just literally this summer, she pivoted in a really massive way, picked up all her stuff, moved thousands of miles to another part of Canada, which I can never say with the same accent that you say it. So I won't try. But yeah, just welcome to the Coffee Talk. And I know you've been on before and listen in and such like that. So it's great to have you. But let's start off. Let's jump in and just share a little bit about your story, you know, because it's not too common that a 16, 17-year-old high school girl would be like, you know what, my dream is to be a general contractor. And I want to throw some hammers around, and I want to boss a bunch of construction guys around and build houses. So tell us how that whole journey even started.
Totally. And that's actually the number one question that I get asked, because obviously, stereotypically, I don't really look like a contractor, carpenter. Women are only about 7% of the non-traditional skilled trades sector. So I definitely stand out on a job site no matter what. But it's kind of a really long and convoluted story that led me to the trades. I knew in high school, I don't know how it is in the States, but from grade 9 on, you had to either take academic or applied courses. Is that the same? Like, do you have to choose? Academic courses lead you to university, applied courses lead you to college. Does that exist where you got, no?
No.
So you have to decide really early on.
Wow.
And although I'm very academic, I kind of didn't like my dad never went to university or college, and he is the kind of guy that comes to you with ideas over and over and over again. There's one good idea after another, to the point where like you're almost rolling your eyes because you're like, here he comes again, he's got another idea. But I grew up with that. So in terms of like societal norms, and he was really successful. My parents worked together. He sold a company in the 80s. And he was also not the most successful person, in that after that, he lost a lot of the money that he had made as well. So I learned a lot from my parents, trying to keep the Coles notes here. But basically in high school, when I was asked whether I wanted to go to school or not, I essentially went to my parents and asked them what I should do, because I had the academic side. I applied to universities, got in with academic scholarships, but never felt like it was really for me. And the only thing that I knew was that I was extremely athletic as well. So I loved to be on the go, and I love to problem solve. And it was actually my mom that found a women's skilled trades course that's offered, luckily, in my area. And she kind of slid it across the table to me and said, this might be something that's good for you, because I did really love, my parents renovated several houses as well, and I loved working with my dad. And I'd always kind of been interested in real estate. And I ended up taking the course, and that led me into the trades. And ultimately, because my parents were such big thinkers and entrepreneurs, I knew that the trades was just the beginning, but I always wanted to become either a GC, run my own company, buy my own houses. But I also knew that I wanted to learn the ins and outs of how to build a house, so that I could walk into a job site or to a project knowing exactly what I was talking about. So that course ultimately got me onto a job site. And as I learned, I started to build up the confidence to buy houses and ultimately to flip them. long story long.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's super inspiring. So then when did you what age was that when you basically started doing construction on your own and you were doing some flips?
I started, so it took me a while. I started probably at 25. So I was in the trades from about 18, 19 and working for television shows as well as kind of taking on a couple of my own jobs. But I learned very quickly. So I worked for a show called Homes on Homes. I believe it might have aired in the States as well. But HGTV Canada and HGTV US are completely different. So some of the shows that I've been on don't air in the US. So I learned very quickly that I didn't want to work for clients. Homes on Homes kind of targeted contractors as the bad guys, which sometimes they are. You can get into shoddy situations and jobs that aren't well done. But I also saw through that show that a lot of the time it was the homeowners that were causing the problems for themselves because they were going with the lowest quote and they weren't doing their research and they didn't want to pay for what they were doing to their home. So in kind of working for Mike Homes and seeing that, I decided almost right then and there, I never wanted to take on clients of my own. I wanted to cut out the middleman and just buy houses. And I was the only person that I needed to deal with. Which also makes me kind of a little bit of a control freak, I guess, because I just wanted to have complete control. So it was probably around 25 after I had been working with Mike and filming the TV show that I had really kind of solidified in my mind that flipping houses was what I wanted to do. And I'm 35 now, just so you don't have to ask.
I knew that and I was not going to ask, but I know everybody else is like, man, she looks like she's still 25. So that's awesome. So you started the construction company at 25, and running a construction company is huge. So we're general contractors in Washington State, and so having teams and crews, like we totally get that. So you built a whole construction team. You really got entrepreneurial. You started buying houses. You were flipping houses. So tell us a little bit about how that journey looked, especially as a female entrepreneur.
Okay. Well, I guess in general, it's always been a little bit more difficult to be taken seriously. So that's why I did really want to start from the ground up and get the knowledge base working for other contractors so that when I walked onto job sites, I knew exactly what I was talking about. Or if I was talking to a sub trade, I didn't have to question, or when I was questioned, which was often, I would walk on with some of my either my partner who's male or some sub trades, and another sub trade would walk up and I was the last person to ever get asked a question. Meanwhile, I was the boss. So that was interesting and something that is kind of, I've had to deal with my whole career. But as you grow and as you have more successes, and people start to realize that, hey, you really do know what you're talking about. And how that started was really small. I bought my first house. It was a bungalow, or I don't know if you call them bungalows, or here they're called ranchers. It was a $60,000 renovation, and I made 60. And then you kind of build up from there, and you build your team. And it takes a long time to find really good sub trades. And that was something that I wanted to concentrate on, is building a team of subs that I know I can give them a call at any time and they can help me, because the thing is about house and the trades, you're always going to come across things that you don't know, and you need to rely on people that are licensed in their trade, like your electricians, plumbers, HVAC, because I don't know everything. And that's the other thing. I think women are really capable, but they also will admit when they don't know, whereas sometimes I feel like men are just like, I'll figure it out, and I don't need to ask for help. That might be a generalization, but that's something that I've seen throughout my career as well. I am more than willing to say when I don't know what I'm doing and to ask questions.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that in terms of me being a woman in the trades has been beneficial more than anything, because I do stand out, and I used to think that was a bad thing, but now I think it's a great thing because people do notice me, and I get to have really great conversations, and I'm not afraid to ask questions and get in people's faces and message them and cold call them. But that takes a lot of confidence, and cold calling or talking to companies or talking on a stage to thousands of people isn't the easiest thing to do, but you learn and you grow confidence over time with projects that you do.
100%. And I think, yeah, you're totally right. If you stand out and you leverage that well, that's actually a good key to success, you know, and,
yes.
and to really use that as part of your branding. And I mean, yeah, you've definitely leveraged it extremely well, and HGTV was helpful. But in terms of your personal career and doing some flips, tell us about maybe one of your projects that you either was most excited about, like you just felt really good about, was successful. And then I'd love to hear about a project that didn't go so well and some of the lessons that you may have learned from that project, if you have anything like that.
Oh, I do. And they're back-to-back projects. So it worked out really well because I had the loss and then I had the win. I'll start with the loss first, actually.
Okay.
Bad news first, good news after.
I like it.
So to get a little personal, my dad passed away suddenly about 3 years ago. He was my real estate agent. He was a mentor of mine. He was my business partner. He was a huge part of my life. I'm not gonna cry, but it was really, really difficult to lose him. And I lost a core part of my business as well. So I think that I believed that I could still function at the level that I was functioning after he passed away, but I was making decisions that were probably not the best decisions in hindsight. So I bought this house. It was a bungalow. Should I share? I have a picture of it. I can share the screen. We love pictures.
Especially
okay,
ones
let
of
me see
ugly
here.
houses. We like those.
You're gonna see my desktop for a second. Okay, let's see. Can you see that?
Okay. So that's in Canada, you call that a bungalow.
A bungalow. Do you call it a rancher?
Yeah, a rambler, perhaps a one-story.
A rambler? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I purchased this about 2 weeks after my dad passed away. I think this purchase was you have to do something or you're going to lay on the ground crying all day, every day. And I needed to keep my mind busy. The problem was that my mind, this is the after. So we basically, so
wait, go back to the house.
Beautiful project.
Okay, so you got a garage on the left. Garage on the left. And then,
remember, this is,
remember what was what?
So this essentially the front porch is where the bump out is. And then the garage remained the same, but we extended the pad. So you can see, but it's kind of hard to see, but you can see that it's kind of the same house.
No, it's not at all the same house. That is incredible.
Right. It is,
so it's the same
but at the same
footprint then, and then you went up, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But this was my first really big build. I was flipping houses, but basically working with the same floor plan. This was a complete reframe, essentially a new house. And I was coming off of a really big win. My dad actually ended up selling a project for me just before he passed away. And just a little side note, but I remember standing there with the check in my hand, and it was a substantial check, and he was gone. And the money didn't mean anything to me at that point. All I wanted was my dad, and I would have handed over that check in a second. So that's the kind of mentality that I had going into this flip, essentially. And unfortunately, I'm very fiscally on the ball most of the time. And I'm also very involved in my flips, but for this one, I couldn't. I literally just could not be in the game. And we ended up going way over budget. We ended up getting in with a lender that I should have looked over the terms more in depth, because we ended up spending lots of money in fees and interest and all of the bad things. And we barely got out with profit. Meanwhile, we could have, in hindsight, probably thrown about $40,000 at the house that you saw before and flipped it and made maybe between 60 and 100. But instead, I kind of let my ego get in the way and took on this big project. Lessons learned is that after the fact, I think we made it out with about 30,000. So we didn't fail. But at the same time, the government of Canada came after us because they deemed this house a new build and taxed us after the fact. This was about 6 months after. So 13% on just over $1 million is a lot of money when you barely made it out alive as it was. So I ended up losing just about $100,000 on this house. And spent over a year working on it. So big lesson was maybe when making decisions where there's lots of money involved, take the time. I had the processes and the systems in place, but I ignored them. So again, safe to say that when you have systems in place, they're there for a reason. And then I also noticed that like I really, to make these things successful, need to have my head in the game. And I didn't. And then
Okay,
moving
back
on
up-
to, or do you have any questions?
Yeah, back
Do you
up
have any?
just a second to that other photo real quick. I think a couple things that you said, the beautiful new house is incredible that it looks like that.
Thank you.
I think one of the things that you said that I think I really love and want to just hover on for a minute is the fact that, you know, you were sitting with such a large check, but that check meant nothing in comparison to really what's most important, which is your family, it was your parents. And I want to hover there for a minute because I think as real estate investors, we really do. We have such a great opportunity and there's so much money and there's so much opportunity to go big and to keep scaling and to invest in more stuff. But really in the end, if we forget what it's about, which is our relationships, then we're going to do a lot. And one day we're going to have that same revelation is like, hey, we're sitting with a big bank account. Like Daniel, it's $1 billion. Then we're going to come to this place where it's just not going to feel right. And so I love that because that's a big lesson that I think we don't talk about very often. And so just wanted to highlight that because that's I love that you brought that up because that's huge.
I appreciate that. And that's only something that you can experience when you literally have something torn from your life that you can't replace and that you would give up anything to get back. So if there was any lesson in that my dad passing gave me is that like really concentrate on what matters, and what matters isn't that check in front of you, it's the people in front of you that you love in your life. And I've always been a very like heart first person, but that made me like very heart first, friends first, relationships, community. Because I don't think I would have made it out of this season in my life if I didn't have the community that I have surrounding me. So I think it's really important to talk about, and we definitely don't talk about it, especially as investors we're making lots of deals and money and things that can be really exciting and can consume you as well and can take you away from the things that ultimately are really important.
100%.
So.
Totally agree. Well, the other thing I wanted to say is that, I mean, you look at the house before and you look at this house now, and I mean, every single one of us who's ever flipped a house will say that this is an extraordinary flip. Like it's gorgeous. It's basically new construction, you know?
Thank you.
So even though in one sense you look at this house and you see maybe a $600,000, I'm not 600, a six-figure loss, you know, $100,000 plus loss. The other way I see it based on hearing your story is that this house is a representation of the amazing legacy that your dad put into you to train you and to build the skills in you and the entrepreneurial vision that you could do something like this. Because not too many people can go tackle this type of a renovation. And in so many ways, you take a look at this particular home and you just look at it and you're just like, that's a monument to really skills and your ability. And even though you were emotionally just kind of pushing through it, I think in some ways, like this is such a cool legacy that you can always drive back down that street and see that had your dad not given you that vision and trained you and invested in you, like there's no way you could have done a house like that. You know, I mean, a cosmetic flip, yes, maybe, but man, add a second floor and another garage and do all that. It's awesome. So just an encouragement to you that though in some ways it's a paper loss, in many ways, I think it's a representation of really the amazing success that you have and how much your dad really is a part of what you're doing today. And so I just thought I'd share that.
Thank you for that. And I completely agree. It's always good to look at it with a different lens. And I know that he would be extremely proud. And he taught me, above anything else, to be resilient and to get comfortable in uncomfortable situations. Like walking into any job, any big job, or anything that requires a new skill set can be extremely uncomfortable and challenging. And I think I'm really good. And that was one of the pointers that I was thinking about, how I just deal with these projects and almost like find it really exciting, is that I'm comfortable being uncomfortable and in positions that most people wouldn't put themselves in, like buying a house that needs to be completely torn down and rebuilt, and being the leads. And so I think that's really important. I think a lot of entrepreneurs do that really well, and that's why they're entrepreneurs in the first place. But not being afraid, or at least in the face of fear, doing it anyway and figuring it out. So he definitely taught me those things and led by example throughout his career as well.
Yeah, love it. So there's lots of comments in the chat just about how beautiful everything is and amazing. One person asked just about what market that's in. So what city was that in Canada?
So it's in the GTA, or just outside, which is the Greater Toronto area, Toronto, Canada. And it's in a little community called Salina. I actually called it the Sandlot. If you guys have seen the movie, The Sandlot, because it's right beside a ball diamond. It just doesn't have the like really scary dog behind the fence. And if you haven't, watch it. It's a great movie. But yeah, it's about an hour and 20 minutes outside of downtown Toronto.
Got it. Yeah, that is a beautiful rehab. So cool. So if that's your worst case story, then share with us. I'm just curious what your other one is that you're going to share with us.
Okay, let's see if I can figure this out. Okay, so this transformation now doesn't seem as illustrious, but at the same time, this house was where I was living. My dad had been gone for about a year, and I was, again, getting personal, I was previously married and was grieving. I wasn't the same person. And my husband ended up leaving, and I was left in this house, and the pandemic hit. So it was, my dad had passed away, my husband had left, and I was alone during a quarantine lockdown. The world was shutting down. So I, to survive, started gutting the kitchen right away and completely gutted this house and kind of brought it back to life. And this one is a big win for me because I kind of have a niche. I do have a niche market because I can buy houses that most people wouldn't, century homes that need a lot of work and a lot of rehab. That's me in the kitchen. That was probably right around the time that all of this was happening.
Love it.
And that was the but I have that ability because I also am so fortunate to work with brands and companies that I can incorporate throughout the renovation. So a company like Royal Building Products will give me a bunch of siding to use. I would have used the product anyway, and then I promote it through my social media channels, and then I incorporate it into my renos, and that saves the costs in the long run. But this one was a big win for me because I was left completely by myself. I had to figure it out by myself because the pandemic had hit and a lot of trades couldn't even come in immediately. And this was my most successful flip that I've ever done financially as well. So it took a lot of time.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
I'm loving the like.
I know Kaylee is a cheerleader. I think that was his former life, man. I love it.
Just like jump on any call that I do, please.
He's the background track. That's gorgeous. Kate. Look at that. Nice.
Thank you. So again, taking on projects that most people would walk out of and not touch, not go there. Anyone that's done century homes in this chat would know they come with their own set of problems. They're called money pits for a reason. I had to completely restructure this home. It was lath and plaster. I gutted most of it myself. That's, if anyone's dealt with lath and plaster, it's extremely heavy, so dusty, not fun. So this was my like redemption house. I did
I
it all
love
myself.
it.
And after the pandemic's still going on, but after things started to loosen up a bit and the market obviously has gone crazy, I listed it for what I wanted, and then it went for hundreds of thousands of dollars over what I asked. And it sold in three or 4 days. So this to me was like the confidence rebuilder that I can bet on myself, and I can formulate teams. And if I do have my head in the game, which I had to because there was no one else to rely on, I can be successful relying on myself. So this would be my biggest win. And this was the house that I did right before I packed everything up, sold everything else. I sold all the furniture, sold my house, and moved across the country, which I kind of feel like is kind of crazy as well, because I had just established my teams. I had found people that I really jived with, and I loved my subcontractors. They helped me out so much. And I could see if I just continued on the same path, I'd be really successful. But there was something in me, something that was like deep down, an intuition or something that was saying you have to go to the West Coast and restart everything.
It's where you're at now. So let's pick up that story in just a second. But on this house right here, so you gutted the whole interior yourself during COVID. So you were living in the house that had the plaster dust and the mess. And so do you have any, what other photos do you have of the house?
I actually didn't, because I didn't realize we were going to do a lot
just
of,
because you're so
I was
fascinating.
kind of
It's
scrambling
like,
to put stuff together.
So that
I wish I did. I do. I have some more on my social media channels, but you could essentially, with this house and the previous house that I did, which is, I'll have to go back in time a little bit. Oh, that's the house I just bought. But you could essentially look through all of the, so that like is the kind of stuff that I do. Like you can see through the whole structure. You have to restructure everything. So it's a lot. It's a lot of work. And
but that's your niche. So what's nice is that when somebody's selling a house that really needs a lot of work and there's not a lot of buyers, you're able to go in and find a pretty good deal, right? Because there's not a lot of competition. Because you're talking full foundation and structure and roof, electrical, plumbing. So you do
everything, rewiring,
built-in speaker systems. Nice light.
So that's the other thing, is that these houses, because I have the ability to work with brands, I can, it's not just get it done, flip it as fast as possible. It's more of a high-end flip. And I can spend a little bit more money because my budget's being augmented by the brands that I work with, luckily. And then the market becomes bigger when you take those risks sometimes. When you buy a house that no one wants, but it's this character home that needs hundreds of thousands of dollars of work, and then you can ask a higher price when you're selling. So the spread can be a lot bigger potentially, which I found with these two houses. So that's it all cleaned up. This is a previous project as well. So I kind of found that market that worked really well for me, and character homes that people love, they just never want to work on.
Right.
And then I also realized that I had two streams of generating income. And that was the fact that I'd worked on TV so long, could incorporate the promotion of the project through my social media channels, again, having ultimate control of all of those outside of TV shows, which you don't have any control of. And then I could also save the money in the budget and ask for money more at the end, because these projects were really high end and incorporated some incredible materials in them as well. So this is the kitchen. So there's been some pretty big projects in my life, and then I decided I'm getting out of it.
Getting out of it.
Now.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if anyone's got any other questions, I don't have to talk the whole thing. I can ask lots of questions, but feel free to drop it in the chat if anyone's got questions for Kate. Would love to have you share some of that. But that's awesome. So Kate, how many homes like this have you done, do you think, these century homes? Oh,
so the century homes, there's only been two, and they were the ones that were the most profitable. The bungalows or the ranchers, you'd make 30 to 50 to $60,000 on. And obviously there's a business plan there, you can do really well, but these ones where you're making over $500,000 on it kind of thing became more of a long-term but calculated flip, I suppose. And I don't know if it's the same in the States, but your principal residence, if it's deemed your principal residence, is tax-free sale.
We don't
have
have
that as
that
well?
in the States. You have, I mean, you have some tax
No?
deferment and opportunities there if it is your primary in a couple of years, but it's not like you can't
Yeah.
literally do it every 6 months. We're in Canada.
Yes, and you can't
Oh.
either, which is the benefit of doing these longer term renovations as well, I suppose, is because you're in it long enough and it takes long enough
Oh.
that you're spread out so that you're not developing that pattern as well. I couldn't continue to do these the way that I'm doing it if they're my primary principal residence, if the government does eventually catch up and realize that you're doing this as a business, but there was enough space in
That's
between.
awesome. Well, cool. So drop questions if
Yeah.
anybody's got any other questions. Those are good. It's amazing. It's a great story. But then so you built a great team. You were in just outside of Toronto.
Mhm.
Essentially life was rebuilding after your divorce and after your dad passed away. But then something in your gut, your heart just said it's time to move west from Toronto to Vancouver, Canada, which is by distance. That's how long of a drive is that if you had to drive that? Oh, you did drive it. You moved across the country.
I did drive it. I actually looked it up because the last time we talked about it, I think I said something like 5,000 kilometers and you're like, that doesn't mean anything to me. So it's 3,200 miles.
3,200 miles.
I looked it up.
That's pretty far.
It is far, and it's a completely different world out here. I was going to share a win that I had as I scanned through these. So this is the house, which is such a different house from the houses that I've been working on in the past. But again, new location, meeting new people. It has a beautiful view of the ocean. And I kind of came out here ready to develop that team and kind of develop systems right from the get-go, because I also felt like, because I was working by myself, a lot of those systems went by the wayside. So I've had some time to put a lot of thought into how I'm going to move forward with these houses and put some systems in place. And this market is just as crazy as the Toronto market, if not crazier. So the other thing that I was thinking about is like, you know, you just have to, you have to believe that you will find something. And I was told over and over again, you will not be able to lowball in this market. And I'm kind of one of those people that doesn't, I take people's opinions with a grain of salt. And I'd been following the market for a long time. This one had been on and off market. It was listed at 1.2. I went in at $1 million, and which is kind of, as I don't know how you feel, Keiko, as an agent as well, or working with agents, anyone who's agents here, but might not be the wisest. You can put off clients as well if you lowball. But this house had been sitting, it needed a lot of work. And again, when you know how to do the work and you can save money, you also can walk into projects that most people walk out of. And I ended up getting it for $1.05 million, and I've got a lot of room in the renovation budget. I'm starting to think more long term. That's why I ended up going to Maui and ultimately meeting you as well. So I might hold this one. It's got a suite in the lower level and the potential to make into a high-end Airbnb, and there's some potential for some pretty good returns as well. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that's great. Now you've got a new house and you're only about 2 hours from us in Seattle. So
yes,
have you come
which
down?
I'm so excited for, because we're going to do some deals together, hopefully.
We're going to do some deals before the year ends. We got it. But tell us, so one of the questions is, what's next for you? So you obviously moved across country. You're now in Vancouver, Canada, whole different market. So, you know, and you've been on TV, you've done construction, you've renovated Century Homes. So it's really a new chapter. So what is next, and why is it next?
That is a great question. One that I was still trying to figure out. I am going to concentrate on getting situated out here. So the first move was getting this house locked down, which happened pretty quickly. I was on the island for 3 days, put an offer, and had it accepted within a week of being here. And then I think I'm going to concentrate, because I have the ability to work with brands and align with them and capture the transformations. I'm going to concentrate on the Airbnb market. The island is a huge tourist destination as well. It's beautiful here. You get an influx of people coming to the island in the summer and elbow seasons. So I think that I want to buy and hold and create an Airbnb business. I also had talked about the retreat idea as well with you, Kekoa, but I think that one's been put on the back burner a little bit because I'm going to have to raise some capital and have it's just a whole, like, such a departure from what I've been doing that for now I'm pumping the brakes a little bit and trying to establish some capital and buy some houses and reestablish myself in a new location. But I really, and I don't know, I'd love other people's opinions on whether, because the market's so scary right now for me, it's so hot that you are spending more than potentially you should be. So you obviously have to buy, right? But I think a way to augment that is to buy properties that have unique ability. Like this one has a great ocean view. It's 5 minutes from a beautiful park and accessing the water. So I'll incorporate a couple stand-up paddle boards and ocean kayaks and create more of a business model surrounding the whole experience of using the house. But this is my unprofessional opinion in a way, because I'm departing a little bit from flipping. The other side is that I could flip this. There is that room, so that if the numbers didn't work out in the end and I ended up spending too much on the renovations, I'm still good on the back end, so that in 3 to 6 months I could flip this house as well. But I want to start holding on to properties, and that's something that I'm kicking myself that I haven't done before now. But that's what's next, I hope.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, seriously. I think most investors who are flippers, if you could hold on to at least half of what you flipped, like, you go back a few years and you're like, man, the portfolio would be huge and passive income would be beautiful. So that's exciting. Well, Keone's offering to hire you in Hawaii. So if you want a place in Hawaii, saying you'd like to hire you and your crew to fly in for jobs. So there you go.
Here's the thing.
I'm going to be her agent, and we're coming with a pretty high level request.
Right. I'm looking for partners. I'm not. Remember, I don't take on jobs for clients. I'm looking to like scale potentially and partner with people that want to create these unique. Because again, I'm not like I don't want to just buy houses to buy houses. I have to be kind of emotionally involved in them. I want to have these houses light me up creatively, or have something unique about them. So I'm looking for that because I have the potential to also promote and to leverage some opportunities that have been given to me because of my interesting career.
I think what's nice about what your story is, and I know you a lot better than even what you've been able to share, but most of us who are flippers, it's a house that we're just getting done and we're moving on. Your home are a part of you. Like you leave a part of your heart in every single one of your homes and your flips. And so that's a really cool way of doing business, because that's why you do such amazing designs and you invest so much of your own energies in it. So you're pretty connected emotionally to your homes, and that's a good thing, and it's not for everybody, but you, that's a big piece of who you are, and I think that's what makes you successful. And so I think it's an awesome business model, and I think that's what draws people to really work with you. And even for someone like you said, I've heard some of the stories that you didn't share today about guys and contractors and just how difficult it is. But I think as they get to know your heart and your abilities, then that doesn't become an issue. It actually becomes what makes them want to stay and work even harder for you. So, so I think it's awesome.
Sorry. And we're also the product of the people that we surround ourselves with. So I'm very aware and conscious about bringing people into my life and into my team that I really align with and that I have fun with. Who doesn't want to have fun in their day to day? So although yes, I can see both sides, and the business of like quick flips, I could do, but I also, like you said, I'm like very invested in these houses, and most people would probably be like, and that's not a smart business model, but it's been working really well for me. And if you're happy doing what you're doing in your own niche market, it doesn't matter. Everyone gets there in different ways. So I'm seeing a question. Would you ever consider? I haven't been following the
Oh,
chat.
you're
Sorry.
good. Kay is an amazing real estate investor on Maui as well. And so I should have introduced you while we were on Maui. But yeah, so you've got lots of job opportunities in Maui, but that's our, you know.
I love Maui. I didn't want to leave Maui. So I'm always open to talking about new opportunities. I live on the West Coast now too,
Right.
so I'm so much closer.
Which is awesome. Yeah. Yeah. So if anybody's got, you know, any other questions, drop in the chat. That's fantastic. But let's just summarize it up. We've been on now for a bit, and some, you know, some folks, we try to keep it for an hour so people can get back to their work. We're in all the different time zones, so it's fun. But if we were to summarize kind of your life, you know, so you've kind of come all the way to a whole new location now, done different business models, different types of homes. What would you say if somebody is a new up and coming into the real estate investing world, and inspired by your story, what would you tell them as maybe the one or two things to really lay a solid foundation to build a construction company and build a flipping company and kind of follow your path, because it's obviously very successful for you? What would be that one or two things that you would speak into your 19 or 20-year-old self to say, hey, if we were to do it all over again, this is what I would do?
My number one would be build a really good team and surround yourself, as I've already mentioned, with amazing people. And don't be afraid to network and to build relationships and to ask questions and to reach out to people. For the longest time, I felt like I needed to do it myself. And you're so limiting when you keep things to yourself and you don't grow and you don't learn. The one thing for me was I always felt like I needed to be perfect, because if I showed any kind of imperfection, that it somewhat means that I didn't know what I was doing. So as soon as I started to put myself out there and embrace mistakes that I was making and share them with people, you become real, you get yourself into learning situations, and those are the ultimate learning situations. So I would say definitely build a good team. Don't be afraid to try new things, and don't listen to what other people tell you you should be doing. Do what you feel like you, in your own heart, want to do. The amount of people that told me, because I had said no to university, I'm not going to college, I was wasting so much opportunity to be successful, and the amount of people that told me I was making a mistake getting into the trades. And if I had listened to them, I wouldn't be where I am today. Meanwhile, they're the people that went to university, couldn't find a job afterwards, have loads of debt, and are coming to me saying, how did you do it? So I would say, whatever you feel, whatever, wherever you're being led, follow that, and don't try not to let people's opinions sway you too much, because that's been something that I've encountered throughout my whole career. And it feels good to sit where I am today saying, like, no, I listened to myself. And then don't be afraid to get uncomfortable, try new things, learn, jump into situations or opportunities that others wouldn't, because sometimes you find a niche for yourself that maybe other people don't want to tackle or handle. So I would say, yeah, those would be my 2 or 3 little tidbits.
Awesome. Love it, love it, love it. In fact, Tay is saying the same thing. She's like, love that. So that's fantastic. Well, cool. I don't know if no one's really asking a lot of questions, because you've done such a great job sharing your story, which is awesome. But Kate, would you drop in there really quick your email address? And that way,
yeah, I will. Now that I'm following the chat.
Stuff there. And if you want to watch yourself again later, if anybody else wants to watch the recording, it'll be on our Keiko Exchange Facebook page. So
yeah, then
everybody can check it out one more time. You can follow Kate on Instagram. She's only got like 50,000 followers, so you'll be one of them. Doesn't have very many friends.
I have a lot of people following what I do, which can be intimidating as well. But
yeah. And then, oh yeah, I was going to say, could you drop your Instagram?
Yes, if I can figure out how to do this. I'm looking at, see, I'm a contractor. I don't Zoom. I don't
That's
know.
when you know you're a true contractor, because you're just like, how do I work a computer?
Right? I'm trying to direct message someone right now that's not in the chat, so I'm gonna have to figure this one
You're
out.
totally cool. But
Uh,
no, thanks for definitely, that was awesome. It's great to have you on to share
Thank
your
you.
story. And for those of you who want to reach out to Kate, she's the real deal. Genuinely loves helping other people. And I am honored that she's a dear friend of mine. And I know she's going to do some really amazing things in this new season. And it'll be fun because she's so close to us. So
Yes, yeah, I
start
can't wait to talk about new projects.
yeah, Airbnbs on Vancouver Island. I'm 100% down.
Or in Maui.
Maui's
I'll come to
pricing is a
you.
little different, but you know, it can work too.
It's
Yeah,
true. This
work
is
too,
true.
but that's awesome.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
as we wrap down,
I'm trying to figure out this chat, but I
that's
can't.
okay. Don't worry about it. We'll get you. I think I have,
There you go.
I think I,
Someone's doing it for me.
okay, yeah.
Everyone.
Builds.
Yeah. My email is kate@katebill.ca. It's pretty easy.
So say it one more time for your email.
Kate@katebuilds.ca.
Which is Canada.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Well, right on. Well, thanks. You can hang out for just a little bit. I'm just going to kind of see, does anybody else have anything else that they want to chat about, or last minute needs or comments as we head into this last weekend of the month of October? And then otherwise we can wind it down and then we can hang out for a bit. All right, on. I don't think anybody's got any other last minute things to share. So, that for those of you who got to take off, thanks for joining us on this Friday, and we'll hopefully you'll have a great week as we roll into November. So by the time we catch each other next Friday, we'll be into November. And Steele is asking, how often does this happen? It happens every Friday. We started this at the beginning of COVID when we all got locked down, and we had the need to try to figure out stuff together. So we created just a network of people to help each other out. So nobody's the star. Everybody's just kind of coming in together and learning and growing together and sharing deals. So feel free to jump on with us if you're new. We'd love to have you kind of hang out and ask questions, share deals, leads, and stuff like that, which would be awesome. And yeah, with that, if you got to take off, have a great Aloha Friday to everybody. And thanks for joining us on Coffee Talk. And obviously Kate's story is amazing. And
thanks, guys.
And Kaylee, thanks for being a cheerleader, man. You're awesome. Is that one coffee machine behind you? What is that thing? It looks massive. Oh, you're in your office. I like it. I like it. Right on.